isn't it? I know it's an oft-told story. This has got quite a twist to it. People living in Box near Minchinhampton have held protests and vigils to save the halfway house. The pub is owned, interestingly, by the Cotswold Chine School. They closed it down in early July. Our reporter Andy Barnard's just been hearing a reaction to the news.
All its amenities, and the pub was a real gathering place for us.
I think it's a public relations disaster for Novalis. The pub is a key part of the local community.
It really was an amazing facility. Good food, good beer, brilliant meeting place. It's a great shame.
Looking around the building now, all the signs have been removed. There's nothing to say it is the halfway house, and looking through the windows it looks very empty, and actually the boundaries of the building are roped off. The reasons behind its closure are complicated. The pub is owned by the Novalis Trust, which is made up from a collective of organisations behind the running of the nearby Cotswold Chine School, which is here, just around the corner from the halfway house. Founded in 1954, Cotswold Chine School uses teaching methods of Rudolf Steiner, and it takes in children from 9 to 19 who have emotional, behavioural and educational issues. The school uses the business generated by the halfway house to finance its educational activities. Well, with me here now on Minchinhampton Common are local people who are spearheading a campaign to save the pub from closure. I'm with Brendan Clements and Sean Kelly.
Well, the closure has occurred because the Chine School and the Novalis Trust conceived that it is not a viable proposition to keep it open, and those facts are clearly disputable.
In what way are they disputable?
Well, the pub has been run successfully in the past, and the previous landlord, who has recently relinquished the pub, offered to buy the freehold. The school had invested literally hundreds of thousands of pounds in years gone by, have been unable to recoup that investment, and charge exorbitant rents to the landlords to make it non-viable, and hence they want to close it and turn it into a cafe and use it for the school.
Isn't that the prerogative of the owners of the pub, though?
Their original intention when they bought the pub in 2002 and subsequent statements they've made clearly indicated that they saw it as a valuable local asset.
Brendan Clements, what are you doing to try and secure the reopening of the pub?
We had a demonstration here right opposite the pub 2 weeks ago. We're holding a vigil every Friday night where people have been invited along to picnic on the common opposite the pub, just to again demonstrate that we're not going to give up on this one.
God, the passion for pubs in our county, eh? The Cotswold Chine School have declined to comment on the future of the halfway house, saying the school holidays mean key members of staff are currently unavailable. With me now is Steve Hemmings. Steve is Minchinhampton Parish Councillor for the Box Ward. Morning to you.
Good morning, Mark.
Okay, there's two sides to this, and whereabouts are you?
Yes, well, there are two sides. I mean, I wear three hats, really. I'm Parish Councillor representing Box Ward. I'm a long-term resident of Box, having been there 30-odd years. And also I sit on a Box Village Society, which represents the Box residents. The situation we've got is, yes, there is a move afoot taking place to close the halfway house by the Chine School, which is owned by the Novalis Trust. The difficulty is that the residents, and I support them in this, do dispute the reasons for it closing.
Okay, specifics then.
Yeah, the specific is that there was a huge overindulgence by the trust that owns the school some 6 or 7 years ago. Phenomenal amounts of money were spent on the pub which could not be recouped. Consequently, now if they say they want to lease it out again as a pub, which they seem to have withdrawn, but when they did, the lease they were charging was phenomenal in an attempt to draw back that huge overspend. Now, I think that's unreasonable. That means the villagers have got to lose their pub because they can't find anybody who will lease it at that rate.
Okay, that's your key argument. I mean, we've invited them on. If the Cotswold Chine School want to come on and respond to that, you're absolutely fine. So you think charging an awful lot, which means it's impractical. What do you see as the solution then? Because that exists. That money's now being spent. It is theirs, so they can do what they want. So where do you see the answer lying?
It has indeed, but remember, this is a charity. It's funded by money which is provided through, I presume, county councils who place very troubled children, extremely troubled children in their care. And for all I know, reports show that they look after those children extremely well, so I'm not in any way knocking their education. But I believe if it was their mistake those years ago to make that huge overspend and overinvest in what is actually an amenity and a well-used amenity, they have to accept that. I mean, if you buy a cathedral, you can't expect to finish up the bingo hole.
But they are thinking of maybe turning it into a cafe. Maybe some of the children there who have, to help those children develop, will be able to work in that cafe. And
yes,
surely that's a great thing for the community.
That is, and the chief executive has explained that to us, and we're waiting for his feedback on more detail of that.
So would you agree? Would you?
Well, there's no need to close the pub to do that. Plenty of pubs serve coffee perfectly adequately without closing down.
Well, there's a big difference though, isn't there? I mean, a cafe is more affordable to run, it doesn't have to be open in the evening, it's a daytime thing, the children could be there doing it, so they are quite distinct.
Well, if the cafe is more affordable to run, then it's not going to make the kind of money that it would need to recoup that huge loss that they're making up. So consequently, they would have to make it up some other way, such as taking in more students, and that's the point.
So where do we go from here, finally?
So where we go from here, we obviously have to wait for the owners to come back and suggest what it would be. We have to understand that, see whether it would be an acceptable replacement for the amenity. If it's not, then clearly we need to persuade them that it was an amenity they bought, it's an amenity they need to hand back if they can't make a success of it.
And you'll be there for the vigil on Friday, will you?
Yes, I should be there for the vigil. I should be there to see when to try and come back to make the comments.
Okay, well, we'll report those when those come back in as well. Thanks very much for joining us, Steve Hemmings. Steve is Minchinhampton Parish Councillor for the Box Ward. 8:44. Just one final line about the halfway house. A couple of years ago at Christmas time, I did this crazy thing saying, look, I'm going to cycle up the Nailsworth W in a Santa outfit. If anyone wants to join me, do. It was just before Christmas for a bit of fun, just a bit of jollity. About 40 people turned up dressed as Santa, and we cycled up the Nailsworth W and all went for a sneaky half at the halfway house. Never have I seen such a strange reaction from the landlord or landlady of 40 cycling Santas coming in. We then repaired back for the lodge for an echo.